And welcome back to Hannity. David Mamet is a world-renowned playwright and director. Now, some of his most notable works include The Untouchables and Wag the Dog. Now, he made some waves in Hollywood in 2008 when he penned an op-ed titled Why I Am No Longer a Brain-Dead Liberal. And now he's written a new book, The Secret Knowledge on Dismantling of American Culture. The struggle of the left to rationalize its positions is an intolerable one. You speak as a reform liberal.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, by the way, nice to meet you. It's a great honor. Your work speaks for itself. You're just renowned playwright. You've been in some of the biggest movies in the country and history. First of all, how'd you get into all of that?
Well, I started out, I was a failed actor, and I loved being around the theater, and so, I didn't want to leave. And so if you don't want to leave and you can't act, you better learn how to do something else. So that my tendency as an actor was to correct people, was to say, what about if we tried it this way? What about if we tried it that way? That's a terrible habit for an actor, but it's a good habit for a director. So I became a director.
That's amazing. Where did you start out? You remind me a little bit of David Horowitz. Well, maybe not quite like Horowitz, but he grew up with parents that were communist. Mm-hmm. And then he evolved into a very strong, solid, consistent conservative. You had a little bit of a political transformation in your life.
Well, yeah. I think it started around 2004, and I went to the polling place in the morning in an ultra liberal community and to vote Democratic. And there was a feeling of violence at the polling place, but against whom I couldn't tell, because there was a bunch of fairly well-to-do Jews like myself, whose idea of diversity was God knows what, right. Because we pay our taxes to have them teach this nonsense to the kids in school, and don't teach them that the real diversity is diversity of thought. But there was a feeling of violence, and I understood that there was this rage against George Bush. And then I went out. I was directing a television show on CBS called The Unit, and so I went out to start directing the show, and I realized there's 200 people on the set. 15 actors, 185 other people. We don't know each other's politics, but we get along perfectly. And I said, oh my God, this is America. This is Eric Hoffer's vision of America, right? He said he was in the Civilian Conservation Corps, and they said, okay, everybody wants to work, get on the truck, took him to the not Sierra Madres, the Sierras outside Los Angeles, and said, okay, here's a map, here's where you are now, here's picks and shovels, we want the road there in 3 months. He says, those people on a truck, but between us, we figured out how to build that road, and I realized that's the feeling on a set.
How did you make a transformation?
Well, a lot of things happened. I wrote a political play in the New York, a comedy. I thought it was pretty darn funny. The New York Times gave it a close this play review twice. One, and they sent another guy back to read it to make sure, because they intuited some anti-liberal bias. I don't know what it was, but they intuited it. And so it's like coming to grips, like a homosexual comes out of the closet late in life, or a person changes their religion late in life. It's a big effort to become aware of what you're thinking.
You mentioned that you are Jewish. I interviewed Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, I thought gave one of the finest speeches before the United States Congress I've ever seen. Did you see the speech?
I read it, and I read the speech before the United Nations.
And what did you think of that speech?
I thought, well, that's a leader. I mean,
that's a leader.
That's a guy who's calling it like it is. So I've asked, and you've asked people who agree with all of our points and theses about conservatism. Well, then why do you vote Democratic? And they respond, because I'm a Democrat. And I realized that that's just not enough. That when the three branches of government have failed to represent the citizenry, and the mass of the media has failed to represent the citizenry, then the citizenry better represent the citizenry.
Right. It drives me crazy, because you know what I really fear? We could live through a modern-day Holocaust. I believe people when they say they want to annihilate a country and wipe it off a map. I believe when a charter says, destroy Israel, kill the Jews, that they're serious. Winston Churchill seemed to understand Hitler. Neville Chamberlain believed in this concept of peace in his time. Somehow we can negotiate with evil people. And I think evil exists in Ahmadinejad. I think evil exists in the Muslim Brotherhood, Hamas, Hezbollah. And I believe if you look at this little piece of land of Israel, and it's surrounded on all sides, including Syria, and it's shifting Egypt towards the Brotherhood, I fear that small nation is in more danger than it's ever been. I don't know why more people don't see it.
I don't know either. But I do know one thing that it says in the Bible. It says that of Israel, my people, it says the people who blessed you will be blessed by me, meaning God, and the people who curse you will be cursed. And I do know that's been true for 2,000 years. And as Israel goes, so goes the West.
As Israel, you see, this is what Netanyahu's told me for years. I've known him. I've been friends with him for years. He said, no, we're not the big target you think we are. We're the little Satan. But it's America. It's Western values. And if they take us out, that battle, that war continues. I don't think a lot of people know that. And then I wonder, and then I turn it into politics, and I'm like, well, why would people not vote in their best interest and see that that evil exists? You kind of deal with this. You say your interest in politics began when you noticed that you acted differently and spoke differently about the government, et cetera, et cetera. I thought that was an interesting concept and quote. Explain that.
Well, however liberal anyone is, when they get an envelope in the mail that has the return address of any government and they weren't expecting on it, they're filled with apprehension.
IRS?
Well, whoever it is, doesn't matter whether it's the city council or the state of New York or the federal government. If you get something that says it has a government return address on it, you weren't expecting it, your first reaction is, oh, God, not me. Please let this cup pass me by. We understand that government is terrible. We hate paying taxes. We know that taxes are all waste.
Ever go to the DMV?
Exactly so.
Exactly.
So that's what I said in my book. I said that the federal government is just the zoning board writ large. And Mark Twain said, before God created the fool, he created the school board for practice.
Very good. Perfect lineup. Why are conservatives in Hollywood scared to death to identify themselves as conservatives? Are they going to be punished in your profession?
Yes. Yes, they are.
You've seen it.
Well, yes, I have. I mean, it depends on how far up the pecking order one is. I mean, if you're in a position to do something for the corporate structure, they'll leave you alone. If you aren't, it's very likely that you're going to get that you're at the least you're going to get shunned, and you may get fired. It's just true.
It's unbelievable. Well, this is an excellent book. I just got into reading it today. I'm going to finish it tonight. That's how good a reader I am.
Oh, thank you.
And I really appreciate you being with us, and continue the great work, and I really admire all you've done. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And coming up, Cincinnati Bengals safety Roy Williams is here to talk about how he's helping our brave men and women serving in uniform. And get this, he was nervous to sit down with me. Well, why did I make his hands a little sweaty? Plus, country music superstar, our friend Brad Paisley is here to talk about his latest album. We'll also get his take on what makes country music so unique from every other music genre. You don't want to miss it. Straight ahead.